replaced the twins that stood on that site for nearly 3 decades. And stories of survival continue to rise from the ashes. For a local businesswoman, her father was working in the North Tower on September 11th, and he sat down with 23 ABC this week to talk about his memories of the deadliest terrorist attack in U.S. history.
Beautiful September morning.
Dr. Alan Sokolow was an executive with Empire Blue Cross Blue Shield back in 2001, working on the 19th floor of the North Tower at the World Trade Center.
And I remember coming out of the subway that morning because it was really spectacularly pretty.
He had an early meeting that day and was wrapping up when he felt something.
It was a little bit like an earthquake. The building moved pretty substantially. You knew it was not normal. Right before that, you heard like a jet engine noise, kind of like a plane taking off. The jet engine's revving high RPMs.
Then he looked out the window.
You could see aluminum pieces of metal floating down in the sun. And it was clear that something had happened that was not good.
He called his wife and told her that he was coming home. As one of the only executives on the floor at that moment, Sokolow said he began moving people towards the exits and into the stairwells.
Just like a fire drill. Everybody, a lot of people had coffee, and they're walking along talking and just, exiting like you would in a fire drill. They didn't look upset, and I didn't feel upset. I felt, a little concerned. And at that moment, you could smell coming through the ventilation system the smell of something like jet fuel, like a kerosene kind of smell. And that was sort of the second big indicator that something really bad was happening.
The evacuation was very slow as firefighters passed the group heading up the tower while they descended. When they reached the 12th or 13th floor, Sokolow said those crews were returning with burn victims. It was during this time he thinks he heard the second plane hit the South Tower.
This ringing like a gong, right? Like being inside a bell. Just this, literally somebody like ringing a big bell. And I think that must have been the other plane hitting.
The descent continued. As they reached the 5th floor, a flood of emotion, you might say, overcame them when water started flowing down the steps.
And that just triggered everyone, and they started to run. The people in front who saw the water coming just said, this is too much, and they just took off.
The crowd was quickly directed through a basement area that was blackened by smoke and fire, believed to be the aftermath from the plane hitting the tower 90 floors up.
There was like a fireball that came down the elevator shafts and blew out through those elevator doors and burned some people on that floor.
Sokolow finally emerged on the other side of the plaza and got his first real look at the towers.
We turned around and there was a fire on both of the towers.
Dr. Sokolow walked across the street to the Millennium Hotel, where a triage was being set up. An ER doctor for 20 years in Norwalk, Connecticut, he helped a dozen or more people that were wandering out of the tower complex with injuries from minor to serious, including one victim who saw one of the planes hit the tower.
Saw the plane coming in and it hit the elevator lobby, the lobby exploded, and he had a blast injury. His shoulder was very badly injured. He had gotten some stomach wounds. And I bandaged him and put him in the ambulance and sent him off to the trauma center.
A short time later, he remembers looking up and staring at the top of the South Tower.
It looked like it was kind of like an ice cream cone melting. The top was kind of dripping and, wiggling a little bit. And all of a sudden, it started to turn, tilt, drop, and came down. The noise and the rush of the air and so forth that you could hear gave you enough of an alarm to know you had to get out of here, right? So we all just started running, and I ran around the hotel and heard the blast coming, and just kind of tucked myself in between an ambulance that was parked on the street, I think, and the wall of the Millennium Hotel. And the blast came, and that was that giant white cloud that you saw in the video. We were in just darkness for minutes, several minutes. There was a moment when I thought, I've killed myself by staying here too long, and I'm going to suffocate. Absolute black, open your eyes, can't see anything. It's not even like white. It's just nothing, no color.
When it finally started to settle, Sokolow began walking to another hospital not far away. But not long after, he saw the dust cloud from the second tower coming down.
When I got outside the hospital, I could see all the dust and the paper and everything that had come down. I knew I needed to go uptown to Grand Central Station, but I'd already figured out that I was no more than 30 miles from home. If I had to walk the whole way, I was walking the whole way.
He jumped on a bus that was headed out of the area that dropped him at the outer edge of that dust cloud.
The movie The Wizard of Oz, when it changed from black and white to color, it's exactly what it looked like. It was just nothing, black and white, and then people and color.
He hitched a ride in a pickup truck to Grand Central Terminal. The trains had been shut down but were now running again. Dr. Sokolow wasn't sure exactly when he finally got home, but phone service had been sketchy all day. His secretary, Gloria McCarthy, was able to get word to his family, including his daughter Morgan, who was in school in California. As for the man with a blast injury that he treated back at Ground Zero, he asked him to call his wife for him, and late in the day, he was finally able to get through.
First, she thought I was scamming her, that I was making up a phony call to tell her that I had taken care of him. I said, no, I took care of him. I put him in the ambulance. I sent him to the hospital. He was not in the building when it went down.
Of the nearly 3,000 fatalities, 10 of the victims worked with Dr. Sokolow, including one man who stayed behind to make sure everyone got out.
I saw him as I went out, and he never made it out. So he stayed in there until the building went down.
He has since returned to Ground Zero and visited the memorial. Memories of that day that Dr. Sokolow says will never really go away.
And Dr. Sokolow currently lives in Vero Beach, Florida with his wife. He keeps in contact, we're told, with his secretary, Gloria McCarthy, to this day. Now, while he has not suffered any health problems from the tower collapse and being trapped in that dust and debris storm, he did say that he believes at some point down the road he could have some lung issues. And we should mention that his daughter Morgan owns Sports Clips, and because of this, she's giving discounts to first responders and also runs Pet Matchmaker Rescue.